Okay. Good evening. We're going to reopen the public hearing for 4 Old Henry Road, application for a use variance, application for an accessory apartment. Sir, do you have any presentation you want to make?
Do you want me to read the notice? I'll read the notice.
What?
Do you want me to read
Yeah.
the notice?
Karen, please read.
Notice of public hearing, Mr. and Mrs. John Clutch, 4 Old Harry Road, Southborough, Mass. The Board of Appeals of the Town of Southborough will hold a public hearing in the hearing room of the Southborough Townhouse on Wednesday, January. The petition of Mr. and Mrs. John Clutch. The petitioner is seeking a special permit under the 17482B1, approval of a finished basement as an accessory apartment. A copy of the application may be reviewed at the office of the building department at Townhouse during normal business hours. Leo Bartolini, Jr., Chairman.
Okay, and this has been continued on, this is the second time it's been continued. When we finish this tonight, we need to get an extension, no matter what the decision is or whatever. We need an extension, because today is the deadline. Okay? Go ahead, sir. You have to say who you are.
Well, I think my name is John Clutch, I live at 4 Herring Road, seeking this permit. And my understanding, my wife was here representing us the last 2 meetings. I guess the original.
Excuse me, you have to turn that mic on.
All right, test.
Yep, there you go.
All right, it's for shorter people. Raise it up. All right, you want me to start over?
No, go ahead.
All right, so my wife was here for the last couple of meetings to make the appeal. And the last meeting, we understood that you needed a testament that the square footage of the accessory apartment would be less than 25%. And I believe I think you all have a package, should represent that. And I'm not sure if anything else is needed, or if you're seeking any other comments from me, which I'm happy to do if there's any additional information you're seeking.
All right, I'm going to open it up to the board. Tom, let's start.
One thing we talked about before, and one thing we talked about with your wife, was that if we granted this, I understand the purpose was to have your daughter
Yes.
or a family member stay in there. And I think she was amenable to a condition that, you wouldn't use the accessory apartment as a rental unit. It'd be confined to
Family.
just family members,
Yes.
right? So is
Yes.
that still?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's my only question.
Andrew?
How long do you think that your daughter's going to be living in the apartment? I understand you can't say.
Hard to tell. And we have 2 daughters coming out. So we have 4 kids. Oldest is out. The second one is 6 months into her first job. And then we have another one graduating this May. And then I have a freshman in college. So, hopefully we have the opportunity to provide each of them maybe some, transition space. But so I'm not sure. Right now, it's just the one that's home, and, the third has expressed interest in moving into Boston sooner, so it could be quicker.
Jeff?
Same basic thing, as long as it's a family member, I don't think there's a problem for however long it is, if it's a family member. If it's not, then that changes everything, so.
Yeah, and
I'm good.
we accept that
Yeah.
provision, yeah.
Paul?
I know this was used prior. I think the only other, thought that came up in the past was everything previously, like, inspected up to code? Is that something that gets redone?
So that needs to be redone. My understanding from the building inspector is if we get the approval, then we'll pull electric and plumbing permit and go through that, certification process.
The whole thing has to be re-inspected if it gets approved.
It has to be inspected,
What?
not re-inspected, inspected.
Inspected.
Right, yeah. Okay. That was my question.
Is that
This
it?
report does talk about accessory.
Say it again?
This report discusses the doors for egress.
Right. David, Mark had took care of that. All right, Paul said, all right, there's a few issues here that the board has to understand. One, the accessory apartment's been affected illegally for 15 years. And is there a particular reason why after 15 years you come in front of us?
Yeah, because we learned that it's not right, and we need to make it right, so whether it's 15, I'm not sure at the right point, but now's the time. And so as it got called to our attention, we need to make it right and want to do so.
Okay. There's a major issue with this. There's, to approve an illegal apartment, we're gonna set a precedence in the town of Southborough that's gonna go forward. So if somebody wants to build an accessory apartment, they can go illegally build it and then come in front of the board to get approval later. And if the board denies it after approving one, then there's gonna be a legal issue with the town and the court that we have approved it. Personally, I honestly have a major issue in approving this because of the fact it's an illegal accessory apartment. It was illegally built and put in to, the status. And, for people doing that, they shouldn't be doing it. And the thing is, how we go forward with it, my personal opinion is that it should not be approved because of the fact that it's illegal in the beginning. If they had come in the beginning and submitted it and there was no issues with neighbors or whatever, then it'd be a different thing. There'd be no question about it. The other thing is the people lived there, which were relatives, or your in-laws, they said?
Yes, do you have the background to that, by the way?
What do you mean?
So we were under duress when we built it, so my in-laws, my father-in-law was very ill, and we were trying to help them out financially and physically to bring them closer, of which 10 months after my father-in-law passed away, it got by us on the whole system. We did not intentionally build it illegally. We were trying to apply as if we're going for this, not because it's illegal. If we have to do something to change it, we will, but the way you're representing it, it doesn't feel comfortable to me at all. Like we built it out illegal and then trying to hide something and come for a permit.
Well, I feel uncomfortable having to do it that way, but I have to properly represent the town of Southborough. And the fact that it was built, and the building inspector gave us the decision that it was illegal built. And that's in writing from the building inspector, that we all have on a permit. And the thing is, there are maybe a few others like that in town also. We've already had one on Main Street that came in as an accessory rental apartment, which was denied because it was an illegally built issue also. So the thing is, if the board, the board can vote the way they want, but if they do vote in favor of something like this, then they're going to take and open up something that down the road could affect the town boards officially. So it's something I think the board members need to discuss. The other issue is, if it is approved by the board, there are two major conditions which we have done. One, if it goes on the registry of deeds within 20 days after the appeal period, then if the house is sold, it is vacated. Then prior to selling the house, they have to go back to the building inspector for a permit to remove the accessory apartment. The accessory apartment has to be removed.
Yep.
Okay? This particular accessory apartment, if it gets approved, then they have to go through a new permitting section, which goes through the building inspector, and everything will have to most likely be redone and updated on it because it was never permitted in the beginning. But so if the board does agree to approve it, the conditions are, number one, that it gets put on a registry of deeds and it gets eliminated if the house is sold. And two, that one of the other condition is that prior to selling that house, it has to be approved by the building inspector. So.
So, I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Yeah,
What has to be sold by the-
What?
What was the last part again? I didn't
It
understand
has
the
to
last
be
part.
approved by the building inspector.
What has to be approved?
Being,
The thing is, the accessory apartment has to be removed out of the house, and what they would only remove is the kitchen, I was told. So the electrical or gas or sinks or whatever would all have to be removed out of that room and disconnected off of the electrical services, which the building inspector would sign off on that. and then they could sell the house.
So that work would have to get approved by the building inspector, is what
Yeah,
you're
it
saying.
goes to him, and he handles all that. And all we say is that it goes to the building inspector, and all the details is his job, not ours at all, if it goes to an approval.
So can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
Because that's not what I understand. I thought the difference of what makes an accessory apartment is the stove.
What?
I thought it's the stove, and you're talking about ripping out sinks and cabinets and other
Kitchen.
electrical.
The kitchen.
What defines a
But
kitchen?
the thing is, I'll make it very easy. All we're saying is that if the accessory apartment gets eliminated, you have to go to the building inspector, and he'll tell you what you gotta remove and what you don't, not us. I'm just trying to give you some kind of details that I was told, but I'm not being 100% perfect on it. But you will have to go to the building inspector, and then he will tell you what you have to do. I was told that the stove and the sink and stuff like the refrigerator could stay there, and I guess the cabinets could either. I wouldn't, but that's something, nothing to do with us. That is something that the building inspector would be responsible for doing,
Okay.
not us.
And there's some code around that, what defines it or not?
Say that again?
Is there something that defines it, or is it a subjective?
What do you mean?
Code, is it in the
Is it a
code
written
book? on what-
code?
What?
Is there a written code that defines what an accessory apartment is that he would have to comply to in getting rid of?
That would
In
be
code.
something through the building inspector, not us.
I believe there is something in the building code
Yeah,
to that
there
effect.
is something, I
Just to
think.
shed some light on this quickly, so the definition of accessory apartment is a subsidiary dwelling, in a single-family dwelling, accessory thereto, with a separate cooking, sleeping, and bathrooms. I mean, I guess in my view, if they take out the stove, the cooking facilities, and they keep bathroom facilities, whatever other improvements, they've removed it as an accessory apartment, and it's basically just a room in their basement. I mean, that's my view, is that in order to remove it as an accessory apartment, they would only have to remove the stove.
The kitchen.
Well, I mean, my own personal view is I wouldn't require them to rip out the cabinets and the
Well,
countertops and
the
stuff
thing
like
is,
that.
we don't have the right to go that way. It's the building inspector's call. So all we do is send it to the building inspector, and he determines what has to be done.
Yeah, I mean,
not
he
us.
can, my view, if they leave, I mean, I agree with that, with the basic conditions. I mean, my personal view is, the condition is only for family members. A deed restriction that says, when they sell the house, our approval of the accessory apartment goes away, and then it's up to the building inspector to determine whether it remains an accessory apartment, and to whatever that entails, whatever needs to be
Say that again?
removed. In other words, we wouldn't prescribe, as you just said, we wouldn't prescribe what needs to be pulled out. Once he sold the property, the new owners would have to deal with the building inspector
No.
to determine
No.
what was still there that constitutes an accessory
No,
apartment.
it has to be done prior to him selling the house. When the house is sold, there cannot be an apartment in it.
Yeah, I mean, I respectfully disagree. Yeah, but I have a different view of it on that point. I have a different view of it on that point.
Well, I
don't
mean,
think it
we've done
needs-
this over the years on a lot of them, and it's been very specified that the accessory apartment has to be removed before the house is sold.
See, I understood it as you were saying it, which is the stove seems to be the big difference of constituting an accessory apartment versus a finished basement. Whatever the conditions are, they are, but my understanding was similar, that you'd have to remove the stove.
It's whatever the building inspector says, not us.
Okay.
But
And I
he
really think
knows
it's
it.
an issue of whoever the buyer is, because they're gonna buy a house with arguably an accessory apartment in the basement, and it's gonna be the buyer's problem to determine what they need to do to remove it or have a house that's in violation
No.
of the
No, it's
of the
going
zoning
into the
code.
registry of deeds, Tom. He cannot sell the house until it's
No,
removed.
I think what the technicality is, our approval of the accessory apartment will go away, so that if he still has an accessory apartment after he sells it, he'll have a use that's not in compliance with the zoning
No.
bylaws, and it'll be subject to enforcement action by the building inspector.
Yeah, but that's not right.
I think
Because
that,
the
I think that is
condition that's
right.
been written prior to all these conditions, that if the house is sold, prior to selling the house, the accessory apartment has to be removed.
I
It can't
personally
be
don't agree with
sold-
that condition.
It cannot be sold as an accessory, a house with an accessory apartment in it.
Regardless, it would go away it would go away with the transfer of title.
With the what?
Regardless, if you transfer title, the.
I mean, in other words, if we did a special permit that was limited to Mr. Kutch's ownership of the property, then once he sells the property, our special permit, that special permit goes away.
Correct.
So whoever buys the property now has a house with
Without an
whatever
accessory
improvements are in the
apartment.
basement without a special permit for, and so it's their problem to deal with the building inspector. I don't think we need to prescribe what he has to take out when he sells the property. You know,
We're
that's gonna
not.
be an issue for the
All
buyer.
we're saying is that he has to get a permit from the building inspector, cut and dry, and the building inspector will be the one to describe what has to be done, not us. So we're saying he has to.
I mean, that would be on the deed, so anyone,
I think it's
Oh,
taken care of
anyone-
if we just make our special permit, you know,
I mean, in any
put that
title
condition to the
search-
permit so that it
Right.
goes away when he sells it. I think that legally takes care of everything else, and that's a building inspector's issue to enforce it.
Another thought that I had would be, could you have a condition that just limited this to a certain time period to say, this is approved, but only for 1 year, 2 years, and then it would be, I think, clear that.
Yeah, I mean, we could vote, I mean, my personal view is if he's got daughters coming up, I mean, he's only using it for his family, in my personal view, that I don't have any problem using it for his family for, you know, I've got 4 daughters myself, and you know, if he's just using it for his family, I personally wouldn't want to put a time limit on it, as long as he's not renting it to third parties.
As accessory apartment, you can't. It's gotta be just your family.
right.
This was the reason the accessory apartment bylaw was done in the town of Southborough, was for in-laws, family, and your kids.
I mean, I don't think, I wouldn't want to see a
Now,
time period. I think.
If he sold his house, this has been a prior decision on another case a few years ago. If he sold his house to one of his kids, okay, and another child is still living there, then that apartment would be able to go with them. If it stays with them because of the family member living there.
Yeah, I'd be
If-
okay with that, if you want to do that.
What?
I'd be okay with that if you want to do
Well,
that.
that's just something that they could do, and they would have to do it through the building inspector on that. And I mean, I guess the issue as far as, my statement on granting and not granting it, I feel very uncomfortable not to be able to do this, I'll be honest. And I don't think I've ever had an issue where I've done something like this before, but it's how we set forward is what bothers me. And Tom, you seem to have a lot of different things. Do you have any idea how that works, or how that would go?
I mean, my view is, you know, I think we've granted accessory apartments before, and people, you know, it's in the bylaw for people to do this, and this is,
Yeah, but
I think,
correct you, we've only granted accessory apartments, and we've never granted an accessory apartment on something that was free unless it was grandfathered.
well, I mean, I accept the applicant's explanation that, look, he recognizes that this has been out of compliance for a number of years. They didn't realize it's brought to their attention, they're fixing it now. I personally don't have a problem with it.
And you gotta
But I wouldn't
understand, there's
vote.
tax issues and everything with this, because it hasn't been done that way. There's a whole different tax program here for an accessory apartment. It's considered a two-family house with an accessory apartment, which changes the tax rate, which that tax rate would have changed 15 years ago if he had done that. So, you know, there's some issues here that I think people need to realize.
My question would be, is that a ZBA issue or an enforcement issue on the building inspector? You know, I kind of go back to, you know, we're doing everything we're being told to do. It's an enforcement part that didn't happen. Is that our responsibility? I don't know, but I don't think so.
Say that again?
The responsibility of enforcement is not ours. So the fact that it was illegal, that isn't a ZBA issue.
No, the issue, just so you know, the clarification was that it was filed, it was illegal, it was inspected, so he turned it down. The building inspector did. And then he told them to come in front of us to try to get an approval for an accessory apartment.
Right, so I see.
This original apartment is turned down right now. It's illegal. By the
Correct.
building inspector.
So what I see it is, it's a new case where he's coming to me
Yes.
and saying, hey, we want an accessory apartment. We're below our limit, so, you know, it's about a number of accessory apartments. It's allowed to happen. The whole issue of how it was illegal and everything at one point doesn't seem to be for us to deal with. If a lot of people start doing that, that's a building inspector problem, that's a bylaws problem, that's not us.
No, it is ours if we approve it. It
But we're not,
becomes,
like I said, going back, I feel we're approving a new one. Whatever happened in the past, that was something else. He's coming to us for a new accessory apartment. I'm not looking at the past, it's not,
well, like I said, there are major issues here that are,
but I'm not sure that's ours.
what?
Those other issues that could come up. I don't
No,
know.
but
if
we
that's
have to look at the total thing in respect of, for the whole town, which is something is our authority to do.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think it shades it, but my own personal view and hearing the testimony and seeing the coaches is that best I can read them is they weren't doing something that they knew was illegal and thought they were getting, I think they're honest people that didn't know and now they know and they're fixing it. If it was someone that I felt had been shirking the law, I agree with that. That would shade my view of their current application, but I personally think that the
Or if they had
coaches-
been renting it to a third party and we
Yeah,
didn't
if they've been
know.
That's
getting away with
illegal
something.
also.
That's completely illegal. Then I think then I would be more on your side saying, hey, wait a second, there's a penalty somewhere. And that penalty could be no permit.
So, is there any further discussion? All
Any
right.
butters, any opponents?
Any butters here that want to make a comment on this? Anyone in the audience at all? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. So the discussion is, one, whether it gets approved. Two, if it does get approved, the conditions that go under the approval. So apparently, from listening to the other four members of the board, most likely it's going to get approved. So I want to discuss the conditions that are going under the approval.
What, no, only family members and it goes, one, and then two, it goes away when they sell it. And maybe that's three or part of two.
I wrote down what you said. Required recordation, compliance with building commissioner, family members only, and it goes away when the building is sold.
Wait, let's take them one by one, because so only family members, it goes away when they sell it.
But can we define family members, I guess? I mean, cousins,
Immediate family.
immediate family.
That
So
work for you?
it's sons and daughters and in-laws and mother and father.
That sounds good. And then we're deed restriction to make it clear that, in our special permit, we condition on this, but also deed restriction that will make it clear that this goes away when you sell it. And then, for me, that's all I need. I don't need particularly to force them to demo, improvements, but I'll,
Now, the building inspector has to,
I would
it has
think the
to
building inspector would at least have to be notified.
and then he will take it from there and do what he's
Right.
supposed to
yeah,
do.
that makes sense, yeah.
So if you want to do it
Notification.
that way and not make it specific, you put it down that they have to notify the building inspector prior to. And most likely what's happened in a few of these cases is people have put their houses for sale and a realtor comes in the building inspector or the assessor's
right.
office and there's nothing on record. It's illegal.
Right.
And this stuff comes forward in different cases that have caused some major issues. So the thing is, that's what, brings these things forward. So.
That's why the concern would be that everybody would forget about it and it would just disappear. So I think if there's something in there about notification of upon transfer to the building department, if that's something we can do,
Yeah, that would be, well, that's
and
similar.
then it's up to them. Again, it's out of,
Yeah, it's his call.
right.
Andrew?
Could there be a condition that it has to be certified that the accessory apartment is removed prior to any sale?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's one
Are we
condition.
saying the same
I don't think so. I'm not, I'm in favor of not require them to do anything particular.
But
That the buyer will have to beware that the buyer can't use the property for an accessory apartment, and that, it's gonna be up to the buyer
Well,
to,
all that,
But I think it's a technicality. So as long as the building inspector is notified, he goes in there the day after the transfer and
says, "Hey."
enforces. And it's
It would
one way
have
or
to
the
be
other.
prior to
You
transfer.
can't, the new owner can't occupy the house until that thing's taken out.
I think,
Because that way, because when you're selling a house, the septic system is a classic one with Title V. right, you can't occupy the house until you have a Title V. Oftentimes, it's the seller's responsibility. There's no law that says that. I bought houses where I said, I'd waive the Title V, I'm gonna fix it myself. So for us to tell them who has to fix it, when and where,
Hey, one
Kinda
thing
not.
I just comment on that, Jeff, is that, you know, Title V is you can't occupy the house. That's a pretty severe remedy.
You can't get a CO
So
with that.
here,
no.
I mean, if I put, you know, an accessory apartment in my house, and it's illegal, it doesn't mean I can't occupy my house. It means I'm doing something illegal and I'm gonna be subject to enforcement action. So I mean, as long as the buyer is gonna get a deed restriction, they're gonna know that this restriction's on the house. And if we have a mechanism to tell the building inspector that, hey, the Kutchers just sold their house and their accessory apartment right is going away, you're hereby on notice, you know, Mr. Building Inspector, then, yeah, I think
but what
the
can the
Kutchers-
building inspector do to make them
Well,
take
then
it
the
out?
building inspector can go on the property and say, hey, I'm inspecting this, you know, that accessory apartment that used to be there is gone, so you have to take out that stove, or whatever the building inspector decides they have to do, and if you're not, you're gonna be subject to enforcement action. But I mean, as between the Kutches and the buyer, they can work out between themselves who's gonna have that liability.
I'm sorry, but I completely disagree with that, Tom, for the simple reason, it has to be done prior to the sale of the house, not after it's sold, because then it becomes all kinds of other issues, where it's done prior to, when the house goes on the market, the accessory apartment is done, it's gone. So the decision should state that when they put the house on the market prior to, they have to go to the building inspector and get signed off on the accessory apartment. Simple.
Signing off that the accessory apartment has been removed.
That's right.
I agree with that because I do share some of your concern that, on one hand, I appreciate your candor in that you, you know, have admitted that the accessory apartment has not been properly permitted, and now we're addressing how to deal with it. And I think under those circumstances, it is appropriate where if you sell the house, then you have to bear the cost of removing it. And it really is just removing a stove, because without that, then it's not an accessory apartment. It doesn't have a separate bathing, cooking, and
I'd go along with that. If we would say he's gotta take out the stove, I'd go with that.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think it's right that we say
We don't say what has to be
it's
done,
the building inspector.
has
You
to.
go to him and then he says what has to be done, because there are legal reservations of what has to be done. So that's his job to state, not
So
ours.
something to the fact that the, prior to transfer of sale, building inspector has to approve, apartment has been removed.
Right, so the thing is,
In DSS.
number one on the decision, it gets registered with the registry of deeds. On this decision here, you've already been told that you have to go back to the building inspector. So I don't think we don't have to put that in our thing, because you have to get a permit for it, technically, before you can use it.
Right.
So, the thing is that you get the approval, and that the condition is if the property is sold, the accessory apartment goes away, and it's for in-laws and immediate family
Yep.
to live there.
Yep.
And that in the sale, prior to sale, it goes to the building inspector,
Building inspector has to approve it's been
okay?
completed.
Karen?
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is, and I guess it's up to the building inspector to define what it means to remove. So
That's right.
having
It's
clarity
his
of that
job,
would
not
obviously
ours. He knows better than we do.
be helpful. And then, I think this is obvious, but let me not take it for granted, that when we do advertise the house at some point to sell, we could obviously advertise it as a finished basement, just not an accessory apartment.
Correct.
Say that again now?
We could advertise it as a finished
Yes, oh,
basement, just not
definitely.
a
Just not
The
accessory
same thing
apartment.
is, you have to realize, if this board turns this down, you still have to go get a permit for the finished basement, because you don't have one in the house.
Right.
You still
Understand.
have to do that. If it got turned down, he'd still have to go get a permit for that. And there's major issues with existing house square footage. The thing is about is a major issue they apply to is access in and out of the building.
Yeah.
Has to be properly done, which, when it goes to the building inspector, he'll take care of that.
Yeah, which has two forms of egress, so.
Say that again?
Which I'm hoping won't be a problem, because there's two forms of egress.
Well, I'm not getting involved
No,
in
that's,
those issues.
that's fine,
That's the building inspector's responsibility.
understand.
All right, so does the board agree on the decisions? Karen, do you want to go read them one more time to clarify it?
Prior to the transfer, the building inspector shall certify compliance. Required recordation of a deed restriction. Family members only, that's immediate family. And the unit goes away if sold.
Say that again?
The unit goes away
The special
when
permit,
sold, but
I guess
I'll-
one way, we can refine the language, but the special permit goes away.
The end of
yeah.
it says what?
When sold.
When, oh, I thought you said stove.
Don't worry.
Okay, when sold.
Yeah.
And, but it's, you could clarify in there that it has to get approved by the building inspector.
Right.
Certified, right? You said
Certified by the
Yeah,
building.
that works.
Prior to transfer, building inspector or commissioner shall certify compliance.
All right, so we have a motion of approval. We need a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve the application with those conditions.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? All opposed? And I mean, I feel bad about having to do this, but I just think that there's a long-term issue down the road. And what's gonna happen eventually is, and we're gonna have to rewrite some bylaws to correct the issue that we have, because there is gonna be some major issues. But
So Karen,
you've got your approval.
leap,
Karen will do the decision. We'll get it finalized within the 14 days. But one thing we need, I need an extension. Do you have the paper for that to fill out, for an extension? We need an extension on this.
Oh, maybe right here.
I think Karen has it all written out.
Okay, we need an extension for at least
At least,
2 weeks.
at least two.
Right, Karen?
Karen should have had, did she have it already written up? No?
Yeah, but we didn't, we just don't have the date on it. So 2 weeks would give us when? 2 weeks from from now is when?
And it was at a minimum of 2 weeks.
At least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I need the date.
make it
Just
three,
May
just to,
1st, just to be on the
put-
safe side.
you wanna make it three just
May
for
1st to be on the
cushion?
safe side. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, because it's gonna get, it's gonna get done before then, but it's just, so we'll make it May 1st, Karen.
I think he's willing to do it, whatever day you want to put it. I
Yeah,
think he's
that'll be
willing.
all right.
Yeah.
It's gonna get done before then. Because once we're voted, we have to go the 14 days and file it. So that'll work.
Is that something you want me to sign now?
You have to sign that, yes, please.
All right, well, thank you very much for your consideration and your time and the approval.
Oh, May 1st. I'm thinking it's already April. It's not like, it's like December.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Scotch.
We're open, a few minutes late here, but we're opening a public hearing for 14 Valley Road with a variance for an addition. Karen, can you read that, please?
Why weren't you sitting on that number?
Cunningham. That's what happened.
Shavo,
251
Again?
Turnpike
is
is,
Shavo,
yeah.
the name Shavo.
Yes.
The Board of Appeals of the Town of Southborough will hold a public hearing in the hearing room on Wednesday, March 25 at 8 p.m. regard to the petition of Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Shavo, 14 Valley Road. The petitioner is seeking a variance to allow construction of a playroom on the first floor and master bedroom on the second floor. The proposed structure will be located on the side of the home with a proposed setback of 11 feet from the lot line. Required setback is 15 feet. Relief is requested from section 174-83D3C, minimum setbacks. A copy of the application may be reviewed at the Office of the Building Department during normal business hours.
Sir, the representative of the variance.
Hi, I'm Steve Schiavo. So my wife and I are applying. Oh, that's okay. My wife and I are applying for the variance, and Isaac is the general contractor.
You need to use the mic, sir, so,
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
so go ahead.
So my wife and I are applying for the variance, and Isaac is the general contractor that is working on the job.
Okay. but you have to give us a submittal.
Sure. So the
You can, or the
Yep.
contractor can, it's up to you.
what do you need, just the rationale for why we're looking to do it? Yep,
Right, and then you have the issue of the hardship and everything also you have to bring up.
okay. So the reason why we're requesting the variance is we want, we're doing the work, is we want to put an addition on the house so that we can put a playroom, we want to put a playroom, we want to add a playroom we have twins that are 4 years old, so we just are running out of space in the house. We'd like to add a playroom on the first floor, and then above the playroom, we will expand the master bedroom and add an addition, and add an office on the second floor. So it's really to add additional space for our house. As far as the reason for the variance, we need an additional, is it 3 or 4 feet? Yep. We need an additional 4 feet, or else the width of the playroom just isn't sufficient to really meet our needs.
Okay. Do you have some kind of a comment as far as the reason of a hardship?
Yeah.
Just looking at plans and where we can add it, on the left side of the house is where there's a garage, and it just doesn't make it very feasible for the foundation. It'd involve a lot more construction, really changing everything, as opposed to the right side, which is closer to where the setback is, so.
Okay. I'm going to hold off on my questions. I'll open up to the board. Paul?
There's not an additional bedroom being created.
No, what it is we want to recreate there's currently a master bedroom, and by moving the master to the addition, the old bedroom would become an office.
The old bedroom where the office is proposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And one thing we also wanted to point out was that the right side of this house is, it really wouldn't be impeding on anybody else's view, or it's just woods as far as you can see, and so it really wouldn't be causing anybody any distress or anything like that,
Well,
too.
that was gonna get to my next question, is
Okay.
if there are any abutters that are, they've all been
We'll
notified.
get into that after we get done with the board.
Okay.
That'll come up after.
The abutter on the side, that the construction that we're requesting is here tonight to offer his.
When the board finishes their questions, then we'll ask the public or abutters to speak
Okay.
in favor or against, whatever.
And then externally, is there anything that's gonna be, on the exterior that would be, I guess, offensive, or lighting, anything like that, that's gonna,
No, we're really just gonna try to match the existing conditions as far as the siding and the look. It'll match
No,
exactly.
not so much the materials, but would there be any, now you're, into a setback area.
Mhm.
Is there gonna be any type of, illumination or lighting that's gonna be, going
No,
towards an abutter's house, or?
no, there would be nothing like that. No lighting, no spotlights, anything on the right side.
There's no doors on that end of the addition.
There doesn't appear to be
No,
any
there's
doors.
no doors on that side.
Plans, so.
All right, David? Turn your mic on, please.
How many square feet is this addition proposed to be?
It's like 400 on each.
About 400 on each
On each?
floor, yeah.
On each.
And are you going to include a basement with that, or is that going to be just a?
Yeah, it will have a full foundation underneath it.
And what side of the house is the septic on? Did you?
It's in the rear.
All right, so one of my questions was why didn't you chose to maybe go back? But is septic back there?
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah.
Did you propose with the abutter to maybe do a land swap, possibly? No?
That's not something that we discussed.
It's, the threshold to grant something like this is pretty high. You have to really show a hardship. Adding a playroom is a difficult reason for us to accept for a hardship. I do understand the constraints they have with the property. I do appreciate the fact that there are abutters here. That weighs heavily on our decision, I'm sure. The fact that you're trying to keep the house in the same configuration, just a little bigger, same colors, same window sizes and so forth as the rest of the house, I'm assuming. Will there be, on the side of the house facing the abutter, there's just that one window? Okay. And Paul mentioned about the lighting, that's a concern of ours. We want to make sure that for not only the existing abutter, but future abutters that are on this property that have to, possibly, buy next to you, they're going to have to understand and accept the fact that, your property, your building is really too close to the property line. So I don't have any other questions.
I don't have any questions.
Andrew?
Oh. No questions.
I don't really have any questions either.
Okay. I was looking for the plot plan, which Tom had, I didn't have it. So there's no doorways or anything. So there's going to be 11 feet left on the side of the property.
Correct.
Is there any grading issues? We don't have a grading plan here.
Yeah.
So I'm curious whether, I don't know, and I didn't look at the property, if it's flat or whatever, or is it gonna create a hill which is gonna dump water on the abutting property?
No, currently, the slope is fairly level at the house, and the rear of the yard, it dips way down to Route 30.
In the back?
In the back, where the septic, and then it drops right off. So the rear, it'd be impossible almost to
The roof on the addition is going to be going from the front to the back, is that right? So are you
It's-
going to put gutters on the abutting side of the abutter? Where you,
the abutting side will be a gable end, so the water will be running front and back, so no water will be added.
on the side?
To the
Yeah,
side.
My only thing is that, we don't, normally we have an engineer plan showing that, so that there's no issues as far as dumping water on the abutter's property or anybody
No.
in the back. And,
And the abutter's property pitches down towards Steve's house, so the water is already coming towards his house, and we wouldn't be adding any water going the other direction, so.
all right, I don't see any major issues with this right at the moment. So I'm gonna open it up to the abutters first, if they'd like to make a comment. And they use the mic and introduce who they are.
Dick Houston, 16 Valley Road, next door to Stevie. As for the drainage of water or anything, if anybody's concerned, there's a natural swale there anyway. And it just goes right down back over onto Route 30. And I have no problem of them putting any addition there or anything else.
I got a question, just
Yeah.
is that where all that ice is coming from on Route 30, is through that
No,
swale?
I don't know where that's coming from. It's ridiculous. It's up further towards UPS.
I know, I'm just curious, 'cause it's coming from someplace. It's been
terrible.
brutal all winter.
Tell me about it.
Okay, any other comments you have?
No, I have no negative.
Okay,
Thoughts?
you're the director butter, right?
Beg your pardon?
You're the director butter.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would like to do as far as any kind of screening or anything? Because you do have the option to bring that up.
No, I don't. I have
Okay,
no problem whatsoever.
all right. Do the board members have any questions for him?
Are you the abutter that faces this, the line of the property where this addition would actually be?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The other side would be pretty near impossible because he has a drive under garage, and it would just create quite a serious problem, I think, anyway, for an addition on that end.
The other end of the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for him? Okay. Do we have any other comments from any other abutters or anything on this? No?
There's one gentleman back here.
Yes, sir. You need to use the mic and introduce yourself. Turn that on, please. There's a switch on the top to the bottom. There you go.
That.
Here you go. You're on.
Okay, I'm David Lemoyne. I live at 113 Carriage Hill Circle, which is up the hill, so I'm not in a butter, but I did get the notice. And I don't know the petitioners. I've never met them, to the best of my knowledge, but I drive by the property 200 to 300 times a year going up and down Valley Road. So I just have a couple of observations. One, the lots are large where this house is, and the one next to it, at least on the left. I know the abutter is on the right. It's a very well-kept yard in a neighborhood where there are some well-kept and some not so well-kept. The house is clean, it's well-painted, there appears to be plenty of room. So just as an observer who received the notice, and again, not knowing who the folks are, I would certainly see no objection to granting relief to a setback. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Just for a comment that I'd like to make to the board, that we've done many of these in the past. And, I mean, we've done some down to 2 to 3 feet and off a property line, so, I mean, 11 feet is a very large area. So I'd like to have a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I think that, I see no issues why not to grant this. And the neighbors are all in favor of it and everything, and they seem to be very happy with the situation. And drainage-wise, there are no issues or anything, so I'd like to see a motion that it gets granted, and I don't see any conditions that are really needed on it. Does the board have any conditions they'd like to add to it, to the decision, or just make an approval?
No?
No, I think it's fine, as long as the abutter's fine with it.
All right, so we get a motion for approval from someone, please,
I'll make a motion to approve it as proposed.
as proposed. We have a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, sir? Thank you. It'll take us a few days.
Good luck.
I just need a... Thanks a lot. Thank you. 1 minute first, I want to make sure. The deadline is, it's in June, so 6, so we'll have a decision long before then for you. That'll take care of that. Great. Okay? Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
The only problem we have with,
You need to use the mic, sir, I'm sorry.
the only problem we have with Steve, he's a Jet fan.
Oh, all right.
Reopen the
Oh, can
public
we
hearing.
revote that then?
You should have told us that before.
Thank you. Football.
Okay. Our next agenda item is at 8:30, so we have to wait 10 minutes before we can go there. I have a set of minutes for approval to get done,
When do the minutes?
February 25th. Has everybody
Those are the ones that
reviewed it? Tom?
Andrew had a comment to him.
Say that again?
Andrew had a comment to the
Yeah, go ahead.
minutes.
Oh, yeah, you did, Andrew.
Yeah, my comment was that I was at the meeting, but the minutes don't show that I was at the meeting.
Obviously, you didn't leave an impact.
I guess I didn't.
Andrew, what's your last name? I'm sorry.
Dennington.
Dennington, that's right, okay. Yeah, I don't see it.
I don't remember it being
I'm not
there.
mentioned anywhere in it, but I was there and I did sit
No,
on-
you are, and the thing is, Karen, we make a note on the meetings that we add that, the thing is, it doesn't state, hold on 1 minute here.
It didn't mention you were at the meeting?
Jeff?
Oh, in the thing here?
Yeah.
Also, my name's misspelled, but that happens
And
all
I'll
the
chime
time.
in that my name is misspelled also.
Well, the thing is, for some reason, you're not on the list of members to be there on the top of the agenda, right? Tommy's not there.
Right, right.
Okay, so
We should probably correct
what
those.
we'd like to add to, in here, Karen,
Okay,
is that Andrew Dennington was present at this meeting,
okay.
and he sat on
Have one
different.
here?
And he should be on the grid just for future
Yes,
references,
definitely,
you know?
yeah. And something that's been done is we're doing, Karen is writing up some new proposals that we take, and when we do a meeting, I want the members under, like, Old Harry Road, the members that sat on the prior meeting, so when we come to the next meeting, I don't forget who sat and have the wrong person sit or anything.
Right, I
This
can't,
is
yeah.
something that,
And then also, I think I was sitting, I don't know why I'm listed as P.
I was sitting for Old Harry Road. That's what we just voted on.
yeah, you were.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
that's
I should
right.
be a S, not a P for the
Oh,
grid.
yeah, actually, that's me too then.
So Paul, you're also,
So I should have been, I've got a P for the Turnpike,
that's present.
but I should have been sitting, no?
What?
I was sitting, I wasn't just present, I was sitting on
I
that.
wasn't sitting on the Old Harry.
Actually, I told her I didn't know who was sitting.
Okay, so I was
Yeah, we
not.
had a,
So Eagle should be P.
I should be P on the Old Harry Road.
And I should be S all the way across.
Okay, so by the way, he's right, Nick Capello's right, Fish Patel is SSS,
Right.
Eagle is SSS,
SSP.
SSP.
SSP. Sopranos is SSS,
Yeah,
Walker is PPS. And the one's misspelled Fish Patel.
okay.
And Andrew.
How do you say it? Fish
Bissett cool. Oh, good, you got it the last time.
my name is spelled, is not spelled properly either, What- everywhere.
Gotta get a new name.
So it's D, yeah.
Oh, D,
Oh, there it is.
Got that R.
I mean, it's not like,
Spelled right there?
who knows? I got family members that spell it wrong.
Is that Portuguese?
Greek?
Oh, is it Greek? Okay.
I think everyone was here, so
Of course. Should have known.
On the DePietri sign variance, I think we had everyone here, so I don't think
It could be, because I know to be honest, it's done wrong so often, I tend not
That's
to,
one of the worst things, you've not
tend not to notice.
misspell anyone's name.
Well, again, it's not
Okay.
Smith or, you know,
Okay,
All right, so we have a motion
okay.
to correct the
Approve as
names,
amended,
amending, right?
to approve as amended.
Okay, approve the minutes as amended. Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye, okay. Something else has come up that we've got a few minutes to discuss is, the building inspector and I have talked, and I talked to some of the other prior members of the zoning board, and we've talked to Karen. And we're going to change the decision-writing process a little bit, because time-wise, it's getting caught up very strongly. And what's been done prior to this, and a few years ago, it changed a little bit, but back, is that the decision gets written by Karen. The decision then is given to me as the chairman of the board. I approve the decision, it goes back to her, and then it gets filed with the town clerk's office downstairs. So the thing is, that over the years, a little bit, years ago, Salgo Landino sat on this board for 17 years, and I had talked to him about it, and he was chairman for quite a few years, and it was always done that way also. The other thing is Karen is extremely busy with all kinds of things, not our Karen, the other Karen that works here full-time.
I am too.
To mix it all up, so what's gonna happen is Karen is going to write the decision, get it to me, I'm gonna read it, go along with it, and then take, and if any questions, get back to her, and then she'll get it in, and our Karen will file it downstairs. So I just want to get the board, that if the board will agree to go forward with that, I mean, it's been done that way since, and off and on, it's been that the stuff has been sent. So I'd like the board to agree to let that go forward and vote on it. And then tomorrow night, when we have our work session, then we can come up. But it's come up and it's legal to do it this way.
So just explain to me again, I think I lost the the threat of it. The decision's still gonna go before the board members to look at and comment?
No, it's not. It goes, I take it and review it and okay it, then it gets
I'm
filed.
not sure. I mean, I think in some cases, I wanna look at the decision.
Well, there's an,
Yeah, because sometimes the way it's drafted, we all have comments. I mean, under regular, 90% of the time, I don't care, but every once in a while, there are decisions, like particularly on 40B or, on a big
well,
project.
then what I'm gonna set forth is, I wanted to get a vote tonight because they want to get this straightened out. So what we'll do instead of that is we'll discuss this tomorrow night.
Yes.
Because technically, I've been told that is not a legal issue, that the board members all review it. When you sit here and write and approve a decision, and then it gets written, it's just technical things that are written on the decision. A major decision, like a 40B, gets approved, written by a lawyer anyways, and done. So technically, it goes the other way, but we'll bring it up tomorrow night in the
That's all
workshop.
about it. Again, I usually don't care, but there's sometimes I
All
do.
right? And I mean, I've always took and have always wanted it sent to the members, and I've always wanted it at the prior meeting that we sign the approval, so it goes on record. Well, since the secretary, we've changed a lot of different things over the years, it sort of got washed away. And I hadn't realized that these decisions, some of them weren't going to you people. I mean, I was seeing them all, but I thought that they were. So there's an issue with.
Can I make a quick suggestion? Like, maybe we have a process where when the decision's done, they send it to us by email, and we can, if we don't respond within, 5 days, then it just gets
No.
processed.
You have to respond within 24 hours. We have to
Whatever the
file,
time-
well, the
time
thing
limit
is, the
is.
problem, this is the problem we're having.
Yeah.
The decisions were filed back, and it sat for 4 or 5 days, and almost missed the filing deadline on it. And I just talked to Karen, and we've agreed that her decision has to be given to me within 5 days prior to the filing,
To the due date.
to the filing date, so I can review it, get it done, and get back to her. So if there's any corrections on it.
I like what Tom said, if it's something, send it by email, and then if it's time sensitive, like you're saying, that you need to respond by the end of the day.
Can we make?
I don't have a problem. I mean,
Can we
I've
talk
always,
about tomorrow night? Because 24 hour. I mean, we're all super busy. So this is volunteer work. So I can't always drop my billable time for clients to do this. Can we make it 24 hours if we're against a deadline, but ordinarily a slightly longer time? Like,
say that again now?
because it's hard to get to something in 24 hours when we have the rest of our lives. To
I think
deal
we
with.
can discuss it further with
With
the
all
town
that's one night.
council. I think there are other
not saying, like-
options open to you that you can discuss. After you close your hearing on special permits, you have 90 days in which to
Yeah,
make
so
a
there's plenty of
decision.
time. It's
Say
just a
that
matter
again?
of.
After you close your hearing on special permits, you actually have 90 days.
No, but we have to file 14 days from the time we close it. That's always been done
After you
that way.
close the hearing, I'm saying.
That's right. It has to be done.
So you could,
It's 90
you
days
could,
after you close the hearing, or 14 days.
you have,
Yeah, but
after
we
you
can't-
close the public, just close the public hearing on the special permit, you have 90 days.
Okay.
So you could continue, and at a future meeting, you could vote. This would just be special permits, because variances have a much shorter term. So you'd always need those extensions of the variances. So you could draft up the decision, and then you could look at it, and you could vote on it
Yeah,
at a meeting.
I'm 100% against that, because I feel very
I don't think
uncomfortable to
waiting
doing
another
that
meeting.
to applicants that have been here for 2 or 3 months at a time to get a permit, and then have to wait another 30 or 40 days to get at least another 30 days for an approval. Do we have a next meeting?
I'm not in favor of
and
that
everything.
either. I'm just saying
The other
24 hours
thing
is short.
Well, we can try to add a little bit and discuss it tomorrow night, but the other thing is that there's a lot of issues with getting emails and getting responses out back to the secretary. And it's something that it has to be done. It can't be that, there's issues with board members, and not just our board, other boards, that you have to file different things with the town clerk's office on personal forms and things every year and all that. And that stuff is all gotta be done at a certain time limit. And there's been a few issues that it hasn't been properly done, and Karen has had to keep sending emails out to get it done. And that's stuff that's gotta be, corrected, and I know we all volunteer our time and everything, but there's some of that stuff has to be looked forward to be done. It really does.
Right, so the mechanism, we can talk about more tomorrow night, but the mechanism is sort of speak now or forever hold your peace. Have 2 days or whatever it is. And
Right.
if you don't say anything, then you're deemed to have accepted
Right.
whatever.
Karen, let me ask you this question. I mean, on a normal decision like what we got tonight.
Yeah.
How long would it take you to get it back to us?
I don't know, I can, try to speed them up.
All right, so if we speed them up and she gets it to us within 6 days prior to the decision.
The deadline.
And then you get 2 days to make the decision, and then we have 4 days to finalize it and get it in. I mean, I think, and
At least, yeah.
I'll be very honest, I've been very in favorable of doing that with all the members. I've always wanted it done, and I've asked the members to do it all. But this was brought to me to change it, so I
It's
brought
also
it
not
up.
fair to Karen that we wait until the deadline before we get the comments, and she has to scramble. We have to get our comments to her at least, 4 days before the deadline, so that she can incorporate them and have some time to.
Right, and then
Fix it and then
when the
file it.
comments, then when those comments are done, then I gotta approve it
Yeah.
and finalize it, so that's something we'll discuss tomorrow night. Okay, it is 8:30. I am going to reopen a public hearing continuance on 4084 Main Street. Now, we've been asked for another continuance on this, and I am gonna make a recommendation to the board that we grant the continuance to our next meeting, but if they come and request another continuance, it be denied. I mean, we've done it 3 times now. This will be the second time of doing it. And I just don't think it's proper that we just keep continuing the hearing. We haven't been supplied any material on it. All we've been giving is the original presentation for the thing for the bread and breakfast and a antique store. That's all that's been done and filed with us. No blueprints, no plans, no nothing. We've continued it twice. This will be the 3rd time we've continued it, third, this becomes the 2nd time that we've continued it. The next time would be a 3rd time. And I don't know how the board feels about it, but I just feel that if it comes up at the next meeting and they don't want to come in again, that it gets denied. So they know up front that if they don't come to the next meeting, they have to refile it at a different time and do it over. And that prior to the next meeting, 10 days, which is one of our new rules that we made, all the submittal stuff is done, so we have it. What do you call it? So, because, we gotta sit here and wait again tonight because of the fact that we've just continued it because they've just keep asking for continuances. So I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that.
That's a good idea.
Tom agrees, Andrew?
Yeah, I agree, because at the last meeting, we were told that they didn't want to do it anymore, and now it's been an inconvenience to think each time it's on the agenda, is this really going forward, is this really going
Well,
forward?
no, at the last meeting, we were
Comment
told
on it
that
and
they
it was
wanted an
denied.
extension. But they have publicly made comments on different issues here that they're not doing anything, or not doing what the original thing was said for, which we haven't been given any public direct information on this at all. And David?
I mean, I really do agree with you, so much so that I think that I question if we should even give them the extension tonight. Because, I think that it's a political play for them right now, and I don't want to get caught in the middle of it. I don't think they have any intention of doing this. I don't think they have any intention of doing this. And I think that they're using this whole procedure thing as a political means to their own ends. Nothing to do with us.
Well, the thing,
So, if it was up to me and I'm just one vote, I would vote not to grant them an extension tonight.
well,
That we've already granted them an extension, and they should have been here tonight with their presentation.
okay, the thing is that due to the fact, and I get to do more work than you think, I went back and did some research work, and I don't know of any extensions that have not been granted. So I think
I
just
get it.
to make it proper for everyone that
But has
we
there ever
do.
been extensions not granted when something hasn't even?
Say that again?
Has there ever, you said you went back and we've never not made an extension. However, have we had a case where people haven't even proposed anything to us yet?
Oh, there's been extensions
For things that haven't been proposed
There's-
yet even?
well,
I mean,
there's
nothing's been
been-
presented to us yet.
There's been extensions for things that have been proposed, and then they just came in and did a proposal, and they went for months
No
after.
one's even bothered to come in and make a proposal yet.
What? No,
You
it's
haven't been
true.
pro-
No,
You
it's
haven't even
true.
been proposed
I mean,
anything.
I just feel that,
If they don't have you, if you're not ready to go, then.
Right, they're
No, I
using this
agree.
as leverage for whatever they want to do with that
I
property.
just
That's
think-
the way I think.
I
So-
just think presently that we just do it. I mean, it's not gonna interfere us. The next time we do this, I'm gonna put it on the first, if it's agreed to, I am gonna put it on the 7:30 agenda. And if they do come, we'll continue them until the end of the meeting night, but at least
Well-
we won't have to sit here for an hour and wait for them to show up
Absolutely.
and come, which is a major issue. But I just think, and just to be courtesy to the people, the developer or whatever on this, that we do it this way. And my reason, David, for doing this and not saying that to say that we will not grant it again is, I agree with what you're saying. I want them to know up front that if they ask for another one, they're done, they're not gonna get it.
Well,
So I am
right.
basically saying what you're saying.
And
but
I agree with you.
I'm just giving them a little more time to let them know, because there's nothing that I could find on record been done before.
I just want to go on record as saying that it's upsetting to have to go through this process. And
Oh,
we're-
I agree,
if
and
they-
that's why-
if they try to do it next month, then they're gonna hit a wall, in my opinion.
So this is why I'm
That's all.
saying, Paul? Are you-
I feel the same way, David. I don't see a
Yeah,
reason to do it
so-
now, but I mean, but if you want to have it, officially stated that we'll do it now and then next time it's not going to happen, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
I
so
guess.
what I'd like to have a motion is that we can, Karen, when is our next meeting date-wise?
I don't know.
Do we have a next date?
I don't have it, hold on. I need
Yeah,
to
what
get
we do, we have 2 in April, I think.
it. Our next meeting will be on, the last day will be the 29th of the month,
Is it?
right?
I don't have anything yet.
No, but it would be the 29th.
You have something on Park Central in between, don't
You
you?
have on the 8th, we have
Oh,
something.
the 8th we
That's
have.
a whole different deal.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with
And then we
this.
have one on the 29th.
The 29th.
For
So,
the next regularly scheduled meeting?
all right, so what I like
I
to
don't know
see
if
is.
we made that official.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one thing before we do this. The butters or whatever that are here, are there any comments? I mean, we don't have the right to do anything because nobody's here to do it. You need to go to the mic, ma'am.
Would that be 7:30 again?
And I just want to clarify something. You can ask questions. We have no answers. We know nothing about what this is about.
This isn't about what they want to do or what they don't want to do. It's a question about procedures. So not being very versed in this, if someone asks for a variance on a piece of property to have a bed and breakfast, if you grant them that variance, is it very specific about what they can and can't do?
Oh, yeah,
they can't-
there'd be
they
all-
can't then put up an office park or.
No, there'd be all kinds of specific guidelines and issues. I mean, you were here, some of you were here for the accessory apartment and all the little details that were just put on that issue.
Right.
So there would be some major,
Yeah, there'll be a number of restrictions listed that they'd have to follow. They can't go by or expand or
Right, so they can't, they would
No.
have to do what they
be
presented
very
to you in that.
specific for that property,
would
and it
be
would
it.
stay with the
And-
property. If they sold it, it would go away, potentially.
and they have to come up with a issue of a hardship and on a variance, and if there's issues with abutters and stuff, it becomes very technical.
And do any of these variances sometimes have conditions like a historic preservation putting on the property? Do you have the authority to ask them to do that, or?
Well, we do not have a preservation historic plan in the town of Southborough.
Right.
So presently, I don't think that would go forward.
So you'd have to have that in place before
I
you can
can't
say-
answer that
I get it.
honestly. I mean, if that, come up or something, it'd probably be something we'd have to talk to town council about.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
But it's something that could come up if we got to into that stage, but we don't know, we have no idea. I mean, we were just given a application stating what they wanted to do and no plans, no nothing, which technically, when the application was filed, they should have been mandated to file the plans, and for some reason they weren't.
Back to my point.
So, you're right. Okay, so can we get a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion to extend their public hearing until next month.
Well, I want to do it a little different than that, David. I want to make a motion that we extend the public hearing till 7:30 on the 29th of April, and if the applicant requests an extension, that he will be denied. So he'll know now that if he wants an extension, he's not gonna get it. It's denied.
Can we, Tom, can we make a stipulation like that?
I don't see any reason not to.
Okay, I didn't know if there's a,
I mean, it's not in our discretion to say extension, so I think it's perfectly fine to state.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
it
we could
being
do it
that, look,
tonight.
You're hereby notice, we're not granting any more extensions.
Fine.
Okay?
I think it's fine.
All right. Karen, are you all set with that motion? All right. All in favor?
or do we
Say that again.
make a motion and second, did someone second it?
Well, yeah, all right, I apologize. I mean, I made the motion, somebody second the motion.
Second.
Second, okay. Now all in favor? Aye. Okay, I thank you very much.
Very procedural,
The
yeah.
procedural.
We have, excuse me, yes, you have to use a mic, ma'am.
Hearing's closed, but it'll be.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys, and this, you may not be able to answer it. Are you inclined to accept the variance? Do you
No,
think-
we can't
can't answer
talk
that.
about that.
We have no idea because we haven't been presented
We have no
anything yet.
idea what it is. It's just a done deal. Right now, it's just out in
Okay.
the woods.
We're from the Friends of the Burnett Garfield House, and we just wanted to publicly say we are in favor of it, and we're gonna probably be back next week to try and help.
That has nothing to do with us. We can't
That's
discuss
fine.
this because the
Okay.
hearing is closed.
Okay, thanks.
You'll have a chance to do that if the hearing ever gets opened.
But it's not next week, it's next month.
We don't know if it's gonna come
We'll
back
come
to
back
us or
next
not.
week, but we're not gonna be here.
So we have no idea.
So you guys are supporting it? The applicant didn't tell you that was off?
Yeah. Well, we support the house. We support the house.
Okay, I think, I did, right now, excuse me, I'm sorry, but I have to stop you. We can't publicly discuss it. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize, but we have regulations and rules that we have to go by. Okay. We all know that tomorrow night at 7:30, we're having a work session.
I'm gonna go next week.
All right, well, we could go on the 2nd. I have changed my schedule around so I would be here for tomorrow night because I have another meeting that was taken. But it would be nice to get everybody to go tomorrow night.
I have a meeting, that's why I can't get out of it.
Is Jeff?
I can, April 2nd, I'm on vacation, I'm gone.
All right, so you'll be tomorrow night. Paul?
I'm here tomorrow night.
Right. Andrew?
I think just Lisa and I
I can do
couldn't
either
make it.
one, so if you're
That
trying
being
to get
said,
the
I could
most
do either
people
one, but
in one,
Well,
I
Jeff,
can
I mean,
move it around.
I think we've scheduled it, and Mr. Cipriano is involved in it, and I know the building inspector wants to come also. So he has agreed, because I have asked him if we would do another meeting on the 2nd, because I have another thing that I had to go to, but because of some technical issues that we need to straighten out, I've changed that, my other appointment, so I could be here tomorrow night also. So, and then David, you'd be able to go meet with him on the 2nd,
Yeah,
and what do you call it?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, and
So we're
Lisa
gonna
too.
meet here tomorrow night at 7:30 as a, not a meeting, it's a work
Workshop.
session. Workshop, work session.
Sorry, is that gonna be here or is it
We
gonna be
have
down the
pizza and
road?
refreshments?
No, it's gonna be here. We're scheduled, right, it's gonna be here. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I'm pretty,
That's like Corderville Road. I thought, no? I
Not
thought
that I
Karen's
know of.
email said
It did
Corderville
say
Road.
Corderville Hall. or-
Corderville Hall.
I don't know what that meant.
She said on 85, is that?
yeah, that's
that's the senior
that's the
center.
senior center.
But I don't
That's what
know,
Karen's
I thought we,
Fidel's
I
email
mean,
said.
the thing
more
is, you have to
comfortable here.
call, we'll have to
Like
call
name tag.
tomorrow
Well, let me
and
see
double
if she
check.
wrote, she has a little note here.
Hold on,
Let's see.
And Andrew's wondering if we can have pizza and refreshments.
say that again?
Andrew wants to know if we can have pizza and refreshments.
Whatever he wants to bring.
I hear Bartolini Builders is sponsored.
Sponsored by Bartolini Builders?
Yeah. No, sponsored by town council.
Oh.
Cipriano.
Oh, see, he should.
He's calling the meeting to order.
It's a place right down the street. We could just call half an hour
That's not
ahead.
a bad idea.
She did want to note that you
This is
have a
marketing
meeting
for
on
Aldo.
April
He
8th.
should
Right,
be.
Aldo.
She wanted to note that you have a meeting on April 8th for Park Central at 7,
What kind of pizza do you like?
and
Oh, I won't be here.
did want you to
That's next week.
do this one. Okay.
So just, well, we have got a few things, another thing. We have the meeting on April 8th for Park Central.
Yep.
which I have no idea what's happening. We haven't heard nothing from anybody.
You haven't heard anything?
Nothing. And Aldo, I talked to him, nobody's heard anything, so
I haven't heard of,
we don't know if they've negotiated or what they've done, or who knows?
haven't
Well,
heard of
okay, so, but if they want an extension, they would have had to have let us know. What was it, 7 days in advance? They wanted to postpone that hearing?
Well,
Didn't we
they
tell
can do
them?
it the night of the hearing. We have to go to the hearing now. We haven't received anything. Well, no matter what, we have to go to the meeting on the 8th.
They're the only ones on the agenda, though.
That's right.
Okay.
But if they want an extension, we still have to go to that meeting. We can't change that. We have to do it.
That's fine.
Okay, the other thing is, we have a permit coming in front of us from Volvo, the dealership, for a sign permit,
Yeah, I saw
which
that.
went in front of the building department the other night, and we have all the paperwork. So we just put that on the agenda for the 29th at 7:40. 7:35, there we go.
You said it
Yes.
went before the building department, did it go before the planning board?
Say that again?
Did it go before the planning?
Yes, it's
Okay,
already been in
planning.
front of the planning board. This is something we all
Need to go in
discussed.
front of us. Is it more
Say
than-
that again?
Why does the sign application have to go before us? Like, what is the size of the sign?
It's the same thing, it's an additional sign. All sign applications have to go in front of our board.
It exceeds the
Even if
maximum
it's a
number of
normal-
Well, that's what I'm saying, it does exceed the maximum number of square.
I haven't looked at it. I have, honestly. The thing about it is, it doesn't matter. If it's a standard sign, it has to come in front of us.
I thought it
All
only
signs are
has
under,
to go
all
in front of.
signs are under special permit.
I think it's one of these that has to go to both.
Oh, I was gonna
Okay.
say, I was just looking at
So
it.
they've already gone to
Okay.
the,
I
and the
didn't-
thing is, we said after the last couple of issues we've had with thing, that they have to go to the planning board first, prior to us putting it on our agenda. Because we've had a couple of different cases with signs and different things that they've come here, and then we've had to send them back to the planning board. So this has been at the planning board now, so we'll put it on the agenda for the 29th at, I'll get a motion that we just, I mean, I can do it technically, that I make a motion that we approve it and have it on the agenda, approved to be on the agenda at 7:35 on the 29th.
We're not approving the sign,
No,
approving that we put it on
approving
the
to
agenda.
have them on the agenda.
At
Okay.
7:35 on the 29th.
Yes. All in favor?
Yes.
It says here that the relief they're requesting
Seconded
is the
and then
maximum
into-
number of signs.
Yeah. that's-
17411.
but
What
no-
was that,
no-
Karen?
That's all right,
relief
there
is
is
the
no further
number of
discussion
signs.
on that.
Oh, the number of
It's not on the
signs?
agenda.
I think you're allowed signs, you're allowed one main sign and then an auxiliary sign that's up to 15 square feet, 10?
Oh, is your sign in compliance?
Okay,
Okay.
any other discussion to have?
Oh, we gotta close the hearing.
Any other discussion to have?
Have we decided on pizza for tomorrow night? Did we resolve that?
Well, not yet. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second? All in favor? Thank you, everyone.